Yeah. My name is Mark Rex, and when we get started, we got a little bit smaller group, although we got a couple repeats, so we must have done something right. My name is Mark Rex, and we're going to talk about reentry with three people who have been there and kind of done that. We're looking at the program. There's a name on there, Mitchell Rennick, who is my son. And he left us, he had to go do something else. So we drafted Mr. Snow to kind of take his place. What we started with at first, and what I'm going to do again, if it's okay with you guys, is for each of them to kind of share a little bit of experience about where they were, how much they did incarceration-wise, and what they can share, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Fair enough? You want to start?
Sure. I'm James. I did time at ISCC. Was ICC for 8 years, and I just got out in February of this year, and I worked with Mark in the reentry program.
And we found him because he kind of came through the reentry conference. We saw the energy that he kind of gave off, and we needed a person on staff. So he fit the bill very, very well.
My name is Carrie Medina. I actually currently am a manager at a St. Vincent de Paul thrift store in Caldwell. And I am part of the reentry team. I did a little over a year at the women's prison here in Boise, and was grateful enough to meet up with somebody and became part of the reentry team. So.
Mr. Snow.
Oh goodness, I'm Jim. My mind is in a bunch of different places. I got a granddaughter that's pretty sick. I met Mark out of prison, goodness sakes, 8-10 years ago.
He was more like 12
years ago. Give or take a few. And he got out ahead of me, and when I got out, I hooked back up with him and have been working with him, taking guys out of prison ever since.
Does anybody did everybody pick up one of these books, or can we hand those books out to people? Barbara, will you do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. We just done this book. We're kind of excited. I'm real proud of this. We've been trying to do this for about 3 years. What this is meant to be is like a resource manual for people who are getting out of incarceration. It's been published a little over a month now. We debuted it at the Resource Fair, which some people know about. It's an event that's held yearly at the Vineyard, in which everybody that works with the population of people coming out of incarceration get together at Boise Vineyard. It's about 125 different agencies this year, and so we debuted this. This is meant to be a resource guide for everybody getting out of incarceration. We hand it out inside the prison, we hand it out outside the prison. We need copies of this. If you like this, let me know. We'll get you as many of these as you want. We got probably have 15,000 of these left still. We're going to tend to do this every year. If you look on the back page of this situation, almost is what the anchor of what we do. This is an event in which Jim, James, and myself work from 9 to 12 at that address there. And what we do is greet people on their first day of release from incarceration. We try to get everybody that's released that day to come by here. So if you know somebody that's getting out, encourage them to come by. What we do there is talk with them, give them a voucher for $25 worth of clothes at St. Vincent de Paul, and then we kind of direct them on to other aspects wherever they need to go. We will also pick people up from prison if they let us know in advance. Some people have rides, but most people getting out of incarceration have a ride, so there's no problem with them getting picked up, but we still like for them to come. What we do in that first session, if you will, is to sit with them, listen to them very clearly in terms of what they've been going through. Some people will be in there for 6 months, some people 20 years. What we try to do very clearly is listen to what they're sharing and then direct them on to the next stop. And to let them know, most importantly, that we're there for them to support them. In addition, we tell them to call 331-2208 and talk to the people on the other end of that phone and say that they've just gotten out of incarceration. Then they are put into our system, and the people either from Ada County's reentry or from the new Canyon County facility go out and visit them. So that's basically what we do there in the morning. James is with us, Jim is with us. You want to talk about where you were, experiences you had, and stuff like that? Give people a little bit of background, and then we'll do some questions and people can ask.
I enjoy doing what I'm doing because I can't relate. Most of these gentlemen that come out of prison don't have any support and from family members and or resources. I was fortunate having a loving family and resources. And I just can't imagine coming out without anything. And it's really a pleasure dealing with these men and women that come out and giving them a simple voucher for clothing and giving them the number where they can get more resources. It really relaxes them. They're tense when they come out. There was a couple of gentlemen that came in and that wouldn't say a word to the person that picked them up. But after they visited with us, they were open and they were very comfortable. And so that's rewarding in itself. But it's just the simple things that we're able to do is huge for these people, and you know, it's a rewarding thing. I was incarcerated for 8 years, like I said, and in that time I grew not so much thinking about the lack of resources that people have. Mind that there are men in there that, quite frankly, don't care about it, and there was a number of those. But the ones that worry about themselves when they get out are the ones that we help. And like I said, it's a great thing, and I love all the resources. I love Mark. I love the opportunity that I had to get into this society.
Carrie, tell us something about yourself.
Let's see. Well, I'm grateful to work for St. Vincent de Paul. I accidentally got a job there about 2.5 years. I think it was the day, or maybe the day after I had been released from prison. She's now one of my best friends in the world, mentor. She was a Vincentian. Said, well, let's go down to the thrift store, and I'll write you a clothing voucher and kind of get you set up with some essentials that you might need. And I was really grateful for that opportunity. We walk in there, and I was really impressed. I hadn't ever been there before, and I thought, gosh, this might be a fun place to work. She was like, I said, I wonder if they're hiring, and she was, well, let's ask. Well, I didn't mean like right then. I still was just fresh from not knowing what to do with my life. Anyhow, she asked if they were hiring, and not only did I leave with nice clothing to wear, but I left with a job. I left with a bike to use for transportation to get to and from, and mostly I left with great family, great friends. I am able to work every day and being able to give back to the community the things that St. Vincent was able to offer to me. So that's where I'm at.
And she's also a candidate for, Ronald was here talking about the program that he directs, and that year-long program, she's a candidate for that. So keep her in your prayers, because we want to get her to, I did it this year, we would love for Carrie to be going next year to New York and to wherever I want. So keep your fingers crossed and prayers for her. Mr. Snow, you can tell us who you are, what you're doing?
Yeah, like I said, got some family stuff going on. So I'll start it today and work back, I guess. My granddaughter is a heroin addict, and as a result of that, she has an abscess in her spine. And because it's so painful, she managed to, in trying to adjust her neck, she managed to break her neck.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
So she's in the hospital right now having surgery. I walked away from my family for 40 years. I just walked away. Wife and a couple, 3 kids. I just walked away from trading it off for sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And did a bunch of time, did 22 years altogether. And got out this time, and for some reason, my family still loves me. So as soon as we get done here, and one of the things we got to do, I got to try to figure out how to get to Oregon. Because my daughter and her husband need to work. And so my other daughter and I are going to try to get there to help out when they bring Jessica home, because she's going to be in all neck traction and all kinds of stuff. So try to figure out how to get back there and take care of that. But in doing this, picking guys up from the prison on a fairly regular basis, I go back out to the prison, and every time I walk through that gate and it slams shut behind me, and I smell the smells and hear the noises, it reminds me of where I don't want to be anymore, and how lucky and blessed I am. Can you be lucky and blessed? I guess you can. Yeah. I am to not be there anymore. Mark says, to see a little bit of his son, Mark said this is what keeps him sane, keeps him sober, is just the reminder every day of picking a guy up that just got out with the deer in the headlights look, and not knowing where he's going to go or what he's going to do if he's, because most of the guys, like James said, have little or no family. They got nothing. They walked away from their family, or the family walked away from them. So when you do home visits, when you give out vouchers, whatever it is you do as part of this St. Vincent de Paul deal, it's making a huge difference. Whether that guy ever thanks you or in the next 10 years ever does anything with his life, you planted the seed. You can't unknow what you know. So as we share our lives and truth with them, it goes in their head and they're stuck with it. Because you have to get, I know for a fact, you have to get pretty high to forget a lot of things, to walk away from stuff. So you either make a choice to make a change in your life, or you make a choice to go back to the stupidity, which we see on a too regular basis in our line of picking guys up and stuff. So, we've been out for 6 years now. Been doing this with Mark for about 3, picking guys up on a regular basis, and it's fulfilling.
We're doing good. And I think that it's important to note kind of where we were. If you heard me speak just briefly the other night, I'll reiterate some of it. I was fortunate enough, so I've been out for about 7 years, about 6+ years ago, I was approached by a church to hang out, go talk to these guys who are starting this reentry conference. And, you know, you're going to have to talk to this guy named Gallagher, and you have to talk to this guy named Gallegos. And you're going to have to talk to these guys, but this will be kind of cool. And so I went at first, and it's just like I was a junkie. I loved it. Because what we do is we greet people as they come out of incarceration, and we get to go out and we get to see people who have been just exactly where I was when you walked out. We write them a check for rent, help them with bus transportation if they need a bicycle and some stuff. We get to watch them as they interact with us, and that's very powerful. We got successful, and that is a very successful conference, in terms of that we only deal with people out of incarceration. So, what, 3+ years ago or so, we got because Mike likes to talk about what he does, we got some attention on a national basis. And suddenly there was a person here coming to talk to us about what they do. And there's some innovative programs. And so he rode around with me and a couple people for a while, and he finally says to me, hey, what would you do if you had some extra money? And I said, hey, we educate Idahoans on what it's like to be incarcerated. And that's what we've been doing for 2+ now with that money, and that is called systemic change of Idaho. And one of the conditions that he said for me was, I'll do this, but you got to do 2 things. You got to go to 2 places. One of those was to go to Chicago and Ronald, and Ronald got me into that program. It's been a year, and everything else has kind of flowed from there. In addition to that, we opening up the mornings where we greet people coming out of incarceration, and everything just snowballs. To where Friday afternoon, we were at Sicky at a resource fair handing these books out to the most popular table, let's say, of anybody that was walking by out there, picking these things up, saying, hey, who can pick me up? You can pick me up. And I heard Barbara standing next to me saying, Mark will pick you up. Ron went upside saying, Mark will pick you up. You tell you, I got about 10 volunteers. I probably need at least 10 more. So there's a volunteer packet that James put together. If this is something that excites you, you can come to our office Monday through Friday between 9 and 12, see what we do, get a flavor for it, and let us, we'll take a ride out and pick somebody up with one of us, see if that's something that you like. Jim has alluded to the fact that it's very powerful to go out there and see somebody for the first time and walk out, get in the car with you and say, thank you. You're riding down Pleasant Valley Road and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And you see the reality of them coming to, whoops, I've been here for 6 months, 6 years, 20 years, now they're getting COVID and all the rest of that stuff. And they come back to our office, and our office filled with pictures on the walls of people who have been incarcerated, who we run across. And everybody in our office has been incarcerated. Cindy's not, but she hasn't been incarcerated. And then we talk to them, we run a voucher, we talk to Cindy about a job, and then we just support them in their transition. We encourage them to call 331-2208, and sometimes they end up in your doorstep, sometimes they go to our doorstep. And that's basically what we do on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis. And I think I can safely say, for at least for all of us, for that matter, we're excited about the future. To To have Ralph here, it's powerful. To have Ronald here come talk to us, it's powerful. To have Barbara here, it's powerful. We're going places. These guys can be other places, but they're here to listen to what we're doing in Idaho, and that's really cool. So, with that, questions for any of us about your deepest, darkest secret about incarceration?
What does the state give them when they get out?
Depends on if they're working or not. They haven't been working or haven't been doing anything, they don't give them anything. They just say goodbye. And they don't let you leave until you know where you're going and how you're getting there.
And you got the clothes on your back.
So they have to have a plan. And what we've agreed to do with the new reentry coordinator, new reentry manager is called, is to agree to pick up everybody that needs a ride, because he's tired of sending case managers that make more money than we do to drop them off commission. So he wants us to pick them up and pick them up. We're volunteers.
So do you,
Okay.
do you try to get them in the halfway house? Is
Most of the
that-
time, it's a case manager, they have a plan.
Oh,
They have to have a plan of where they're going when they come out.
That's all laid out way, way, way in advance.
Okay.
You have to come up with, all of us have been incarcerated, we have to sit down with the case manager and say, where are you gonna live, what are you gonna do? It has to be approved.
Who pays that?
For a halfway house, depends on how much money you made while you're in prison or how rich you are. If mom and dad or wife have been giving you a fortune, and you've got enough money to eat all the commissary you want, they're not gonna pay anything. If you are poor, then the state usually pays for 30 days worth of
30 days.
30 days. Sometimes if you have an intravenous drug problem, you're eligible for BPA funding, it's called, and that goes on for a little bit longer. But you have to have a
2 to 3 months.
criteria.
I actually have two questions. One is, do you get to meet these people before they get out?
No,
Is
that's
there
the-
no connection?
No, that's the fun part of it, it's kind of neat.
You just pick them up and...
Yeah, that's actually the most exciting part of it, because they don't know you from Adam. So you just say, and you say, I'm Mark. And again, that's, if you think about this from a Christian perspective, that's the most awe-inspiring piece of it. We get to live out what we believe with them. And we say, and they'll say to you, Jim will say, why are you doing this? You know? What do you mean you're going to pay? What do you mean you're going to do that? Why are you doing? What do you want from me? What are we doing?
Well, just a comment, the guy came, Mike brought a gentleman to our conference to speak about reentry. I don't know what his name was, he had a cool hat on.
In Montreal.
Well, he talked about the impact it had on him to have somebody that wasn't being paid to be nice to him, wasn't getting anything out of it, and just somebody that was connecting with him because.
The cool thing about this, and I think it's happened to Jim, it happens to me all the time, I'll be someplace in the valley, and someone will come to me that I have absolutely no idea who they are. And usually when somebody comes up and says, I know you, that means I've been in prison with you, or you've been in some AA situation, or you're drunk, or something like that. But by and large, they'll say, you helped me, and you really did, I got a voucher, and da 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 da. Thank you, and thank you. So that happens much, much more.
I have one more question though, I don't want to hog the time, but
You have more time?
if somebody, I had a couple clients, Cindy helped with one, but a client who had been out for a long time, and still struggling with a lot of, trying to find work and, keep their family together and all that kind of stuff. Is that a candidate for your conference, or does it have to be somebody that's just left?
Technically, it's 90 days after, but I'd still send that person back into us. One of the things I love about Mike Gallagher that I copy and I do too, is he always says, what would Jesus do? So we kind of operate off that
Well,
principle.
thank you.
Plus also, they would be eligible for help from just the general conference.
Yes,
Well, we did, but there's some particular things that this.
we just tend
Mike
to.
would-
Sometimes they need
Particularly.
someone who understands
Yeah.
the situation. And Cindy, if an employment is a problem, Cindy's the girl to go to. And she's spending a day a week in Canyon County now.
Good.
So she can find them work unless they're, they have a problem with going to work.
So 90 days is a rule, but there's extenuating circumstances that.
As far as I'm concerned, anybody that comes to our office that's been out of incarceration, we're going to help. 90 days is for that program specifically. But keep in mind that I've been out for 7+ years. Jim Holland?
Just shy of 6.
6. So between us, the people that are in the office we've been out of incarceration for a while, we know how this game is played. So if they have questions about PNP, or they have questions about what's happened to them, or treatment programs, or how do I do this, we're a good source for that. Just come back in and ask us. General rule of thumb is, if we can see in your heart that you really want some help, then we're going to move mountains to make that work for you. Okay, but if you're coming in just to get a free pizza or a free hygiene bag or something like that, then Cindy will give my hygiene bag, but I won't.
It depends. I said no the other day.
Okay, good for you. So,
Somebody
mountain
took a
boundaries.
hygiene bag and gave it away to all his friends and came back for another one. And I said, sorry.
One thing I'd like to speak on behalf of Cindy is that, you know, when inmates and people come out of prison, you know, they're very leery and they don't know what to expect, and they expect that they're going to get to worse. And when they come to us, they're first, like I said, they're comfortable. But if we direct them to Cindy, you know, on their mind is like, I can't get a job. I'm a felon. You know, every job that she has prepared is felon friendly. So that's definitely eliminated. So that's right away is oh my gosh. So she gives them whatever they're interested in. She gives them you know, information concerning that, and that's a big plus. Again, they leave with, you know, confidence in themselves, and that's a good thing.
And Ralph may have approached me a while back about, if you're okay with working with people who haven't been incarcerated, right? Or they've been out a longer time than 90 days. I said, yeah, absolutely. So I've had a homeless couple come in that lived up by council, and he needed surgery, so they were living in their car here in Boise. And they left that day with a gift card to Subway for $25 to eat, gas in their car, got her hired that day cleaning at a motel in Caldwell. And I heard them as they walked out the door. She goes, can you believe it? We were destitute this morning when we walked in there. And now I've got a job, and you know, and I could hear them as they were walking away, how excited they were. And so that comes from, the card came from a donation to us, because I let people know sometimes gift cards are helpful, you know, and for gas cards and different things. And to be able to get the help from St. Vincent's is amazing. And so I'm open to, they don't have to have been incarcerated, or it can be longer than the 90 days. We want to help anybody that we can. And we're just so grateful for everyone coming together and making that possible for all these resources. It's just incredible.
Yeah, in addition to like volunteers too for us in the morning, that's certainly a pitch for us. But as you run across people who've been in the system, let's say, and you think they're doing good or doing something, and you feel like they have this kind of need or feel that they want to help in the system, then direct them back to me, please. We are looking for people, key people. We have a meeting with Ronald on Thursday night. People we've identified as like 20 or 25 people. Carrie was there, and Jim was there. We need people who can come in and articulate key pieces as legislation comes aware this fall. So they go down and talk to the legislators and change that and make quick change. So people who have been in the situations we have are the key people who can make the changes happen within the state. And I need to bring those people up. So if you run across those people as you're going out on home visits, you know they've been incarcerated, and you know that you see something in them that looks good. So maybe I'll talk to this Mark guy or Jim guy or James, you come over and see us, okay? Because we'd like to have those people there.
Can I say something?
Always.
I won't take long.
You saw those people laugh?
No, I forgot what I was going to say, no.
That was not me to laugh.
Jorge and I went out to a resource fair out of prison last year. And there was a guy there who had been incarcerated for 55 years.
Oh, gosh.
He went in when he was 20 years old in 1962. And he wanted to know about clothing. I said, sure, we'll get you some when you get out. And I won't go through the rest of it. But he wanted to go to Twin Falls. Not that he had any family or anything. He doesn't have anything after 55 years. So I said, okay, we'll get you a bus ticket. And we sent him to Idaho or Twin Falls. His name was Earl. And I got on the phone and I called the people down in Twin Falls, our St. Vincent, Ted Nutting. And I said, well, you get him off the bus and help him, you know, get a place to stay. And well, they adopted him. And he is still out. I didn't think he'd make a week because he was so into the prison system. He's still out. and they have adopted him, they got him in Social Security. But this is something the outlying districts are gonna be able to do for us. And then that's our next step after Canyon County, is to go statewide.
So, yeah, and I think we're already talking about that with expansion of Twin Falls, Idaho Falls, Coeur d'Alene gentlemen's here. They're all in agreement with that. If you imagine that 800 number, if you call, the prison calls 800 blah, 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 and say, I just got out of incarceration, and we link them up. And you see all of us together as Vincentians on a statewide level, and we bring in some of the people who are here from the diocese today, and we bring in their people, and we all start working together and sharing volunteers, and we bring in Voice of the Poor. Hey, you know what? We got a real strong model next year when we go to Denver. We got Barbara telling a whole nation how Idaho pulled this together and helped do this and helped stop this, this, and this with the state legislature. That's pretty powerful. That's all you guys just going out there and being, good Vincentians. That's the kind of stuff that can happen. That's the kind of stuff that we're working on. And that's the kind of stuff that excites me when we get up in the morning and think, this is powerful. We can do this, and all we have to do is just do our little piece, find that right voice, direct them back into us, and we'll all do it. Question? Go.
I kind of got hooked on a phrase that you used, Jim, about people who don't want to think about, now I'm not sure how you put it, but unless they're people that don't want to think about it.
Not everybody, whether they have resources or not, are really, it's just a different venue for them. If they're out, when they're out of prison, they're doing what they do in prison, and they have the same comrades and what have you, so it's just a different venue in prison. So for them to get out of prison, it's like no big deal. But some of us, or those like myself, has never been in, other than a speeding ticket, in prison. It's a lifelong depressive kind of state that you can be in. I forced myself through prayer and whatever to not be depressed and to grow from it. So it's just the perspective and the attitude that you have when you come out. And that's why we're here to help a lot of people that really are on the fence. They're scared to death, and we enlighten them and help them and make them more comfortable and relaxed.
So some of these people that you can't help are very depressed. Is that?
Well, they just don't want the help.
They're in despair. They don't see any hope.
Yeah.
So it helps them to see somebody that's making it, that was in their shoes at one time. That really helps them be able to relate to.
I can't say enough that it's on an individual basis. You got to just kind of see what they're speaking, what they're sharing as they're sharing it. And we're not in any way, shape, or form meant to solve every one of their problems. We're meant to show God's light on them for this instance, and let them start making the steps. Too often, I don't want to necessarily follow that step and say, oh, you're all, get involved in that person's life. They need to go forward and make those decisions on their own. And as they make those little steps, then encourage them and go. And offer suggestions, offer resources. But we're not in any way, that's God's role is to save them. It's not necessarily our turn. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It does.
Another thing, the prisons now are repositories for mental patients. Reagan threw out the entire, or pretty close to the entire mental institutions in the 80s, and they have no place to go, so they go to prison and come out. A lot of times they feel like they want to go back to prison. That's where they feel secure.
My question sort of follows on that. I understood that the BPA would help people who had a mental illness, which they were self-treating with either alcohol or drugs. And is that, because you made it more limited?
One of the requirements for BPA, unfortunately, at this point, is BPA funding is for somebody that will admit that they were an intravenous drug user. It's not necessarily the case, and there's no firm
So if it was
rule.
alcoholism, they won't help?
That's not alcoholism. Is not. That's different. It's totally different. There are programs for them that, in theory, they've gotten on a cognitive level on the inside, and they'll get that kind of support afterwards. But heretofore, we're getting better at alcohol programs on the outside, but there is nothing mandated. We've got a pathway crisis center now over in Pontiac over by the mall. We've got Allenbaugh, which is a non-medical detox facility. But by and large, the issues that you were talking about in terms of mental health, Those are real strong issues. We didn't used to ask those questions when we saw them at first. Now we say, you've got a prescription to be filled, you need to get to a doctor right away to get you into some system so that you can get that script, because it's gonna take a while to do that.
Well, we serve the 04 zip code.
Okay.
We have more clean and sober houses than
Yeah,
any
all of
other
them.
zip code.
You do.
Between my house and my parish church is what, I think probably the largest one in the county, because it
Yeah,
accommodates
Rising
40
Sun.
40
Rising Sun.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
She
then
was up
behind
there
St.
with
Mark's, there's 3 of them in a row on
On Reno Way.
Oh,
Reno
yeah,
Way.
no, I'm familiar with.
No, that is the zip code. You know, it's kind of nice if you're getting out because the library's there, when Walmart's there, it's kind of a good spot. But you're right, you are in halfway house heaven.
Well, and it's a trauma for us, because trying to help all the people that are in those houses so that we don't get so spent out that we can't help any other, people.
Well, certainly what I would do is dump the first 90-day guys on the reentry
Yeah.
program, and then on the
If you find out
ongoing.
their reentry, dump them back.
Oh, yeah,
on
no,
us.
I would do that, but we've had some that they were out for longer,
Mhm.
and, they were homeless, and that,
Still needed help.
one guy's in he had called, and he was saying he was in a partial hospitalization program over in Caldwell or something.
Yeah, City Hope.
And so I was saying, so I wondered in that case, whether he was eligible for BPA. 'cause-
Again, I'm gonna tell a story that I ended with last time, and so you already know this. Because like we have a friend of ours, Jim, who we were in prison with, who would always write, when he gets in trouble, he gets absconded, he goes back in and kind of writes letters saying he's gonna be good the next time. And he wrote me one of those letters, but he mixed up the letter with the other person that he was telling his real true life about. So I got the letter to the homie, and the other guy got the letter to me. And so which was totally opposite, I'm sure, of what was coming to me from my friend, I would say. And so what I did this time was just to put the letter and send it back to him, and so I think his sent this wrong there. They're playing it, and so you can't put up some boundaries and say, I can't do this. This isn't something that St. Mark's can do with this situation and make them come back. That's an inability on their behalf to face the issues in their life, and they've been putting that off all their lives. I spend more time than I like to admit talking to someone who will tell me, my son, my husband, my daughter, my mom, they're a good Christian person, Mark. If you just talk to them, they're going to change their life. No. Okay? I'm talking really to the person who's calling me on my phone. Really. The person who needs to change their life needs to change their life. And I'll help them, I'll talk to them, but mostly I'm counseling the person who's calling me. And so for you, you need to say, no, we really don't do that. You're in Caldwell, Caldwell.
No, I mean, he was in a clean and sober house
After coming from there.
in 04 already.
Well, who paid for the clean sober house after the year out? Was he paying for it?
He's just recently gotten into it.
He's been out for a year.
Well, I don't even.
Yeah, see, that's something that doesn't jive. Something's wrong with that. They wouldn't still be paying for those clean sober house that far after.
No, I'm saying he wasn't on BPA. I was just trying to see.
Oh, if he was
because-
in BPA.
Because he was both mentally ill and self.
You can always give out, in this book is the BPA number. Have him call that 800 number. Say,
And they
here,
can find
take
out.
this call, that one, and then give it back
Because
to him. He's not going to be eligible
Okay, that's,
for the most part.
helpful.
And
to
if
know.
he's on paper still, say, that's a parole agent issue.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
need to-
We tend to give a much more limited help.
You guys offer such a good food bank, and you do that kind of support, that that's what you should draw the emphasis on. And then just do the utilities for people and everything. That's your compass. I don't know if that helps. Did that help at all?
Some, we have people in our conference that are really concerned because the people have so many strikes against them in having to pay, in addition to the place they're staying, parole and
It's-
probation and trying to, you know, how do you get them so that they can keep from having recidivism?
It's a hard issue, but I think if you really boiled it down and we sat all in the same room, we would find that that person made some choices along the way that put them in that spot. And if that means that person needs to spend a month at the shelter to gain some money to get back, to get going on that, then maybe that's a good experience for them, as opposed to coming to you or me, other people to help them out. It's like, what's the gentleman's name from Coeur d'Alene?
Jeff Conroy.
Jeff Congress had something in San Diego that I laughed onto, it was really great. He used to have a sign up where they had free soup, 11 to 1 every day. And somebody came in with such a stink because I didn't want soup at 12:30. They didn't even take the sign down, just put free soup daily. Okay, so it's like your persons keep coming back to you because they know you're going to help you. You're going to help them. You're enabling.
I'm going to say one more thing about that situation. I can't stress enough wherever I go that the new home visit module, everybody needs to see. Because we are wonderful people, but we're enabling a cycle of poverty instead of lifting them up.
Yeah.
Sometimes no is the best word you can say to them. And this new home visit module that the society is trying to initiate follows them longer, and you follow them and you give them more supportive services and help them get connected. But you don't just do the every 6-month utility bill, you don't, but you know what I'm saying, you know, and across the nation, we have that, and we need to stop it. And this new home visit module is really important. Call the National Council, they'll send you books, there's a really good DVD. You could do a retreat around it, whatever, in your conference or council. But it's helping us change a little bit from enablers to facilitators. And that's what President Ozanam did. When he would go to those houses in Paris, he stayed with the family until they were stable. Whatever that means, I don't know, I'm sure Ralph Middlecamp can tell me. But I really encourage you to look at this new model because it does help.
Okay,
So
well, we make them sign, and I changed it from saying once a year that we help to once every 12 months, so nobody that was helped in September would call us back in January.
But it's still the same year. I mean, I could predict in our,
12 months.
but 12 months, I mean, it's still, I know exactly when they're coming in their pajama pants, doing the same thing. I'm enabling their cycle of poverty, because they don't do just us, guys. They shop Salvation Army, they shop the local parish, they shop the city food bank, and they're taking more than their share. But also, they're just sitting on their butt. We're not helping them live up their life. We're not helping them realize their potential or self-dignity. We're just enabling their poverty. And that's not good. It's not good. And that's why we need to start changing our culture. And so I really suggest you that model. And there's lots of resources for them, but we got to stop.
Is that online now? Is that available online?
Yes, absolutely.
Just
Module
regular-
7, it's a new book,
Module
and
7.
it's been offered to
FBD?
the conference presidents. They can use it as their spiritual reflection.
But I mean, we could go find it on the internet.
On the national, SVDP
On the
National, you can look under the materials,
Okay.
order it, and there's a really great DVD
The DVD and a book comes
and a
together.
book. It's terrific, and I keep pushing it. I meet a lot of resistance, I'm not gonna lie. Nobody wants to change. I'm going, you're gonna have to change. We have to come up with the times because our resources aren't doing what they're supposed to do, right?
There's one thing that I can't relate that, but I can explain that. And being incarcerated for 8 years, I met a lot of men, and they take advantage. And enabling them is probably the worst thing you could do. And I quite frankly get angry. I mean, I even when I'm out here now driving or I'm in line somewhere and I just see somebody, it's not inadvertent, they do it on purpose to get in front, to get something, and it ticks me off. And that's the thing that I think it was one good point that Mark brought up is, they have a story, but in your mind you have to kind of draw the line and not let them, I don't know. You have to draw the line and realize that, you know what, I do want to help you, but this is all I can do. There's a boundary, and this is what we can do.
Yeah, no,
And you gotta get on with your life. I mean, that's why we came out of prison, to get on with our lives.
Did you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say, I so appreciate what you just said. That is so needed by me, because I'm this bleeding heart. And when we were talking about the people that you really aren't suitable for your program, that my response was, oh, but I feel so bad for them. But you guys, to have the capacity to just distinguish when someone's.
Well, I think it's interesting to watch other people do it. I've watched James grow, and because James would do almost anything for people at first, and I'd say, okay, go, try it, see what you want to do. And then he's got to get to that point where he doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't want to give anymore, and he sees whether he's getting used or taken advantage of. You've got to do it, but it's very hard. Responsibility when you both your people. This is what's in that person's heart. And you know what I always come back to? They ask me some question I can't answer. I say, where do you go to church? You know? Where do you link up to it? You know, because you know where that answer is? That answer is at the church. That's where you need to be. You need to go back to your church and kind of ask them for that kind of support, because they go back to the church and they dig that connection to Jesus Christ, all that goes away. Okay, if they work on that and get that. So that's the way you can always kind of bring it back to. There are people who come to us with very difficult questions, let's say, about housing. Can't find housing, can't do that, can't do that. I say, the real core of where you're going to find this place to live is to hang around the church, or hang around the community group, and somebody's going to come and say, James, you live in our house, this is where I need to put you. That's how they're going to find that real difficult spot. And that comes from a positive interaction in community or a positive church relationship. And you see 4 of us up here who are very strong Christians. Okay, that's the reason we don't have as much problems as the people in the world, and that's the reason why you look in their heart. You can see inside their heart, these are good people. It's because they have a relationship with Jesus Christ. So that's the key.
We talk about what would Jesus do. I realized with my family at one time, after I kind of pulled my head back out and was gung-ho to save my family and pull my granddaughter out of the despair of the heroin junk she was into, and a grandson that's now locked up, and we're going to lose some. Sometimes you just got to say no. You just can't.
They're not ready to take what we
Yeah.
have to give.
Yeah.
And they really
They will
have to.
take it, but they will take it, and like you said, they take it, and then they'll go to the next person and take it. And in our big-heartedness, and in our efforts to save the world, even Jesus, at the end of the whole shooting match, Jesus is going to say, I don't even know who you are. Sorry. So he didn't give up on people as much as he let them do what they were going to do.
If you had missed the first group Jim didn't speak, my son did. And we spoke up here from a group, and somebody asked the question about how do you ask about discernment or heart change. Mitchell skated the whole question.
Yeah.
He's 22 years old, he skated the whole question. Does he listen to his dad? Does he see what his dad did? Does he see how his life's been changed by his dad? No, he didn't. He's 22 years old, he's full of testosterone, and he's not making the right choices. And it doesn't mean I love him to death. He's got to do what he has to do. He has 2 felonies, and he's 22 years old. And it's sad. It grieves my heart. But I still love him to death, and he still won't face it. Just still can't face it. I mean, he's following in my footsteps, unfortunately. But you can see it, and everybody picked up on it. He missed the whole question.
He did. But again, we can help them help themselves.
And at some point, my hope and my prayer is at some point
We
my
have
son
to,
sees that.
because it's not fun.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, in my visits, emphasize, and this is all kinds of visits, that we're very limited, and I bring a self-rescue manual and point out things that might be appropriate to them, and say, since we're not going to be able to do, we can't even pay a whole month's, rent for you. What things are you going to try? Resources. What other resources are you going to try? And that's what I was trying to find out.
A lot of this is encouraging them to take the steps on their own to figure that stuff out. All of us have had to have that to do that in some way, shape, or form, and go forward. I tell a story about a pastor that Jim and I know well, and I got this old trooper, Isuzu trooper, and his cracked windshield. And I remember going to him and saying, my windshield was cracked. It was marked, my windshield's cracked in my car. And I still had that car, And my windshield's still cracked, but I was looking for him to pay for my windshield. You know, and that was just unreal for me to ask him that. But that's something I didn't know when I first got out. So,
There's one thing we're beginning to realize that the more as we get into this thing, that just as there's generational poverty, there's generational incarceration. If these people are left to lavish in jail, instead of being out with their families, their children are more apt to go in.
But there's whole families out there that you get your mark of manhood by going to prison. And we see that a lot.
In Iowa, we have a client who's 6th generation incarcerated. 6. It's a national crisis right now.
You know, we talk about how do we help people, how do we get through to them. So Mark has a story, I didn't tell it. But the longer somebody is in, the more ingrained that institutionalization gets. And so when they get out, they don't know what to do. Guy's in for 55 years, do you realize he has no idea what a cell phone even is? He has no idea what a new car is. So when they get out, when we get out, it's all of a sudden this huge thing, it hits us in the face. And my preconceived notion that I'm going to get out, I'm going to get a car, I'm going to get a new girlfriend, I'm going to get a new house, I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to sit by the pool and eat bonbons all day. And you can't even get food stamps for 2 days. So this story Mark has 3 minutes. So tell your door story.
what door story?
About the guy that
Oh,
couldn't get on
This
the
is a
bus.
great story.
Oh, yeah, it's good. We picked this guy up.
The guy had been locked up for a while.
He'd been locked up for a time, but he called on the line. I had a relationship with him. We picked him up, and he was going to Coeur d'Alene, so the only thing we did was pick him up very early. And he had to make a 7:15 bus to Coeur d'Alene. So I had 20 minutes with him in the car. And so we just took the bus station, I let him off. I know he walked in there, but I knew his name, and we'd been interacting. So he goes in, and he's done, because he's going to Coeur d'Alene. He's out of my area, you know, he's up north. And I got a call later in the afternoon from him, and he said, I got to tell you the story, Mark. I goes, I got to tell this on myself. He goes, I almost missed the bus. I said, what do you mean you almost missed the bus? We were there plenty of time. He goes, I went over to the door, and I stood in front of the door, and the guy had to come over and tell me, aren't you going to go out and get in the bus? And he was waiting for them to open the door. And all he had to do was push the door and because he's so used to doors being
The
open.
door's all cracked for you.
That he was waiting for the door to open. And all he had to do was push it, and he'd go back and get on the bus. And I said, can I use that story? And he said, yeah.
A guy gets out after 10, 15, 20 years, and he's used to getting a call for breakfast, getting a call for count time, getting a call for lunch, getting a call for visiting, getting a call for rec time, getting a call. Your life is structured. You have blinders on, and you just follow this preset pattern. And one day you get out, and I'm free. I want. Could you give me? Because I don't have.
Yeah, I've had more than one person tell me, I sat at home and I realized I had to make dinner.
Yeah.
Remember, they don't cook. They don't wash their own
I had to
clothes.
wait for dinner to come.
Yeah? It's a mindset that, think about it. It opens up your vision.
The other one I always used to is that it's probably graphic, and I apologize for that, but we're so used to, you don't know what it's like to go to the bathroom in the workplace, that it's a big deal. I said, it's like I say, we're going back to my office. You go to the bathroom, they close the door. Then they got a door closed when you go to the bathroom.
Well, it's not only the door to close, it's just a stall right up. But the bathroom, if this was a cell block, the bathrooms would be right over there against the wall. And you're doing your business, and everybody and their dog is going by, brushing their teeth, and singing, and watching TV, and you're doing your business right there in front of everybody. So when you get out, it's a culture shock. It's not even close to it.
How many people here have ever been to a jail or a prison? If you haven't, maybe you have to.
Well, like I said, come on out and take that one.
Yeah, I mean, it is mind-boggling, literally mind-boggling. I've been to prisons here in Boise. I could barely breathe, and I'm an attorney. I've been into all sorts of prisons. I've been into jails. I've been in, and every time I can barely breathe. And that's why I didn't do a lot of criminal law, because I couldn't be responsible for screwing up a case and having somebody lose their liberty. But it's that serious, and to recover from that is almost a PTSD situation.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
It is.
We also do a program every year called Cookies for Max. And,
Oh, I know about that program.
Okay.
We took
So
42,000.
We took 42,000 cookies out to Max last year. And the
We
first
did
time,
with
the first time we
with
did it,
Julianne.
we started delivering them, Jim and I. And Jim, we took 6 of us one year. The first year we took 6 of us that had all lived there, took the cookies. And the look as we went through that one gate, and the one gate behind us closed, and I looked at all these grown men in their 60s, panicked, because we were at the door locked behind us, we weren't even inside yet. And we had all these cookies to take inside. And that was a different sort of thing, it was, because you go, the door closes behind you, and there were friends of Jim and mine who were, a couple of them just really panicked about going into that building.
It's real. It's real.
It's real.
I want to share one thing. I don't know how familiar you are with our home visit process, but usually when we go.
They're all Vincentians.
Okay,
These are all
okay.
Vincentians.
I forget, I'm sorry. I'm brain dead half the time, but we did a home visit a few weeks ago with the returned citizen. And at the end of it, I said, we normally, before we leave, like to say a prayer. And he says, I'm okay with that. I said, how would you like to lead it? He says, I don't know about that. I said, well, you know, he's listening. And he decided to lead the prayer.
That's great.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice, I like that. I'm gonna use that.
And that's something that's very powerful for him, and that when that hits him the most important way, you won't know it, could be a year from now, 2 years from now, and that will be the impetus maybe for him to go forward and find all sorts of stuff. That's cool. When you get to heaven, you'll figure that out.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, guys.